The venue we're at today, it's Taipei International Book Exhibition. I'm sure you've heard back in 2022 when Ukraine wasn't in fact the guest of honor here and France was, but Ukraine was widely discussed. Could you guide us through how it was back then and whether or not we have that attention towards Ukraine here today?
Things has changed since the full-scale invasion in 2022. Also, we know that in 2022, at the book fair here, we have, for the first time, a Ukrainian publisher, Yakabu, presented here, presenting Ukraine with illustration books with collection of speeches of President Zelensky. So many Taiwanese would know that actually 3 years ago, in 2022, there's a collection of interviews and speeches of President Zelensky was published exclusively in Taiwan, actually. There was kind of an initiative by the founder and publisher of Lotus, Mr. Rex Hao. And for this year, we have another 2 Ukrainian publishers presenting here. One is the very famous and renowned Ukrainian publisher, the Old Lion Publishing. You could have these vivid Ukrainian life images and representations presented here in Taipei at the Taipei Book Fair. Yeah, that's something quite different we see from the past 3 years.
You yourself are a translator and you edit translations of Taiwanese novels into Ukrainian language. What could you tell us about the role that authors and publishers today play in covering Ukraine, especially given that media attention is waning?
Unfortunately, we see, especially the past year, that the global attention to Ukraine is relatively waning. But still we see that Taiwanese publishers, authors, and translators, they are trying to present Ukraine or to use Ukraine as an important reference for our current situation now. To acknowledge the importance, also to remind Taiwanese why Ukraine is now still important for Taiwan, for Taiwanese readers and for Taiwanese audiences. Prominent Taiwanese journalists, like there's one from a media, San Li, a journalist called Xiang Zhengwei. He wrote about his covering, his interviews in Poland, in Ukraine. Our former prime minister, after his retirement, he actually became a novelist. So he wrote a wuxia-style novel called Ukraine Project. So he kind of combined this Ukrainian subject matter with Taiwan into a fictional, you can say, psychological thriller or detective story. So there are political scientists, there are military specialists, strategists, are writing books about how we could learn from the invasion, from the war happens in Ukraine.
Taiwan can help and Taiwan is helping. This slogan of the Taiwanese government sort of gained momentum once the Russia's full-scale invasion in Ukraine started. Now, you are personally responsible for many of those humanitarian projects from Taiwan directed at Ukraine. Do you feel like at the end of the day, Taiwan lived up to this declaration? Do we still see that momentum rolling today?
Definitely, I think it's still going on. For example, we donate like digital devices, PCs, notebooks, pads to Ukrainian elementary schools. We help to train teachers and instructors for Ukrainian educational system. We also help to establish different digital opportunity centers in different regions in Ukraine. Currently, we have selected several venues to renovate rehabilitation centers in the city of Lviv and other cities. So I would say that we know that it will be a long-term project to help Ukraine to rebuild and to renovate. So I believe the current government will still continue this work, definitely.
what could you tell us about the small role that Taiwan played in serving as a refuge for Ukrainians fleeing the war?
I remember that 10 to 15 years ago, when I was learning Ukrainian, when I was studying in Ukraine, in Taiwan we have then only 10 to 15 Ukrainians staying here. But after the full-scale invasion 3 years ago, now we have around 250 to 60 Ukrainians, which enables us to have many different Ukrainian communities here. So as we have these young minds now learning Chinese, studying Taiwanese history, Taiwanese culture, certainly impact will be made, for our bilateral relations in humanitarian aid, in cultural exchange, in artistic exchange, also in academic or different fields. Like it is really happening, and we can see that Taiwan now is a true friend and genuine friend to Ukraine.